It's Priest. Have a little Priest.
Is it any good?
Yeah, they're broken.
Oh.
Hello and welcome to Miniatures Rundown, talking kill team today and talking priests. Specifically, the Sanctifiers kill team. First debuted in the Flesh and Blood box? No, Blood and
Zeal.
Blood and Zeal box. Yeah, Flesh and Blood is the card game that...
Yeah, it's a good card game. Check it out. Different channel, though.
Different channel. First debuted in the Blood and Zeal box alongside the Goremongers. This was a box featuring a incredibly bloodthirsty, very powerful melee team and also a Khorne team. The Sanctifiers are a bit too good.
Just a bit.
To the point that Sanctifiers are brokenly good.
Yeah.
Now, in the update last week, at the time of recording, they were nerfed. But they only had a single nerf. Games Workshop said in the article that we don't want to overreact to this, and we want to give people time to, quote, play with the models from the box.
Right.
First off, GW, since when have you cared about that?
Exactly.
Since when have you cared about making sure that the thing people bought is the rules they bought? Because that hasn't applied to Age of Sigmar or 40k in a long dang time.
Yeah, that's kind of my reaction as an Orcs player.
Yeah. You bought Orcs because they were DACA?
I mean, I didn't buy Orcs because they were DACA, but when they happened to get that DACA and then they DACA'd too much DACA, they got taken out back and DACA'd in the face.
And they got knocked down from their DACA.
Yeah, it was... They've had two knee-jerk reactionary nerfs in 10th edition alone. And so I can, like, a part of me, like, respects them to be like, we're not going to go too crazy with them and let them play with their toys that they bought.
They want more data, which I kind of get.
Sure.
That you want more data, but...
I respected a little bit of their decision-making in that, but at the same time, this is probably one of the ones that justifies the knee-jerk reaction the most. Like, Orcs had a 60% win rate, like, the first 2 weekends or something like that, and then they took the top 6 spots at every RT out there.
And that might be the wise, because there hasn't been a big tournament with Kill Team that that made bad press for it. It's just been buzzings. There's been buzzings about terminates. There's been buzzings about tournaments banning these guys.
Yeah, speakings of it.
But no one's actually done it.
I don't think I've seen anywhere that actually did it.
And that might be why they didn't pull the trigger, Piglet.
Yeah. So I get it, but at the same time, this was the one time I think you should have knee-jerk reacted, and you didn't.
So let's talk about it first. Before we talk about what the nerf was, let's talk about what Sanctifiers are. So Sanctifiers have about 42 million rules.
Yeah. You need a PhD to play them.
This is a rules-heavy faction. Everyone's got rules. The big one is their faction rule, which they have Blaze, which is very similar to the Sisters of Battle team.
Yeah.
You light someone on fire with a crit from a flame weapon, and they take damage next time they activate. That wasn't touched, and it's probably not. That's not the problem.
And that one's a good one. That's a good one.
The big thing is they have the Sermon rule, which is. Long story short, you use a strategic gambit to pick one of your models. It has to be your leader, your confessor, if he's still alive. And he's your orator. He's the one giving the sermon. And then everybody within 6 inches of him or 3 inches of someone else, if he dies and you pick someone else, everyone within 6 inches is now benefiting from the sermon. Now, what does benefiting from the sermon do? Well, a lot.
Yes.
Just off the bat, whenever a friendly Sanctifier who is benefiting from the sermon takes damage... critical damage and normal damage of 3 or more goes down by 1, which is by itself incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Vespids who have to play a tactic, and if it's critical or normal damage of more than 3 goes down by 1.
It's like, it's not a rule that we haven't seen before. It's the fact that it works on basically everybody if you play them the way they're supposed to be played.
Which, the way they're supposed to be played is you are basically supposed to play, I call it the church youth group outing. You're supposed to play everybody within 6 inches of your order, your confessor. Now, 6 inches doesn't seem like that much, but that's actually a 12-inch long bubble, which on Kill Team is, it's a 22 by 30 board. It's about half the board.
Yeah.
About half. It's fairly easy to keep your models within this guy.
Right.
And then you have like your Munistorm your missionary.
Yeah.
If he's holding a holy relic, he always benefits from it, even if he's not nearby.
So he can run off and do his thing. So it's not even like they're, not able to take objectives or stuff like that, because they can still easily do that with positioning.
And those missionaries, by the way, are your primo killing shooting models, because that's the one who can carry either a plasma gun and a chainsword,
And a chainsaw.
or a melt-a-gun and a chainsword,
Yeah.
or a flamer and a gun butt, or a flamer and a holy relic. By the way, the Munistorm Flamers are 4/4 damage, not 3/3. Their hand flamers are 3/3s. So their hand flamers are as good as everybody else's normal flamers. Their Munistorm Flamers are 4/4s.
Yeah.
Which is really good.
That's one of the things I specifically pointed out is like a plasma gun, so a premier weapon, a plasma gun, a premier shooting weapon, and a chainsword, a premier melee weapon. Getting both. There are Space Marine sergeants out there that don't get that kind of fun, but this, church group guy just...
Yeah, your Uncle Jim, who was in the Scouts and is going on your church youth group field trip.
Sure, he can't use them as well as that, Space Marine sergeant or something like that, but, the fact that he gets both still means that, something's going to go through.
And there are other things that the sermon does as well. The sermon also lets people get down, Mr. President, your confessor. If your confessor does die, by the way, this doesn't go away. You just use a strategic gambit at the beginning of the next turn to pick someone else, and it is a much smaller bubble if that happens.
Sure, it's
3
half.
inches. Going from a 12-inch diameter bubble to a 6-inch is really bad. I mean, it's half, but it's really bad.
Yeah, it's basically taking it from, the quarter of the map to, a building.
But a lot of factions, if you lose your leader, if your leader gets popped, like the Vespids, if your leader gets popped, you just lose the communion point helm. You don't.
Yeah.
Someone else doesn't run over and pick up the helm and go.
Right. Yeah, Jaegers, their guy dies and you just get one less resource point.
Right. And that's just it. It's there's a thing for protecting your leader. These guys have mechanics to protect their leader with a get down Mr. President rule. And it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, because if it happens, they just get field promoted.
Now, what's the thing that actually changed? There's other things that go along with sermon, by the way. The big one is that and this is on the confessor's card, so this does change. He has a rule called lead the procession, which is whenever he is an orator, which he always has to be if he's alive. Weird that they even put that on there.
Right.
If he charges, falls back, or repositions, which is a move, during his activation, you can use this rule before it moves. If you do, determine each other friendly operative who's also benefiting from the sermon. And after this operative ends that action, not his activation, just the action of a move, charge, or fallback, each of these friendly operatives can immediately perform a free charge, fallback, or reposition, so a move, in an order of your choice, choose separately for each, but each must end that move in a location where they're still benefiting from the sermon. There's rules about if he's incapacitated in between. There's rules for guard and playing. So basically, every time your main leader does some kind of move, a fallback, or a charge, I guess not a dash, everybody within 6 inches of him gets a free one as well.
Yeah.
And also, because the guy with the holy relic, the missionary, is always benefiting from the sermon, he always just gets to do that as well, because he's always benefiting from the sermon.
So he basically just gets to move twice a game.
Right.
Or twice a turn.
Or fall back.
Or fall back, or charge.
I did this to Mitchell when I played him. He had locked my missionary in combat with a Gormonger, and then I just moved my leader during his activation and fell back, and then the next guy I activated was the missionary who just shot the Gormonger in the face because he'd gotten a free fallback action. This is very, 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 very powerful. Now, what they changed is you can no longer use this ability on turn 1. During the first turning point, you may no longer do this. And what we want to talk about is this actually going to be enough? Which is why we've been bringing up everything else they're really good at.
Right.
A lot of people have laughed at this change, but I think it is actually incredibly impactful to what made these guys very oppressive, is that in addition to all their other stuff, their 6-inch bubble from the staff lady of a +1 to save. They're miraculous having a natural 4-up save and wanting to be within that 6 inches, so she has basically a 3-up save, and the first time you kill her, she doesn't actually die, and she throws hands like fireballs.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's got a lot of 2-up weapon skills,
She has
too.
2 2-up weapon skills, but she only gets them once each.
That's enough.
It is, to remove problem models.
Yeah.
And you can't remove her. The big thing that this does is this stops them from getting onto all the objectives turn 1 and forcing you to deal with them.
Yeah.
It gave them a huge board presence and pressure that no other team has. Like Vespids with their flying don't have this.
Right.
Aquilons with their drop don't have this level of board pressure. By not letting them do this on turn 1, that is a really seriously impactful change. But more against shooting teams, I think, because it gives them more time to get shot.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's still at the end of the day, you just play turn 1 KG. And
yeah, but the fact you just have to play turn 1 KG is still at least something.
yeah, it's something. Like, I don't think it's enough. Not nearly enough. I think that it should be once per game.
I don't even think that's necessarily and this is the problem with them. I also don't think it's enough. It's difficult to tell you what is enough because there's so many things they're good at.
Yeah.
There's a lot of variables you can tweak here and have them still be really good at things.
I think you could take the sermon away altogether and they would still be really good at things.
That's just it. You could.
Yeah.
The fact that the sermon gives them a -1 damage bubble at all times.
Yeah, it's
to basically everything in the game because there's very little that does 2 damage.
Yeah, it's like what I said earlier. It's the fact that they don't just get the one thing. A lot of teams get the one thing. It's that they get like all of it, all of the time.
Right.
And like all of their units in that bubble, or if they have the icon or whatever, like they all get it. Whereas like bringing Jaegers up again, like they get the pre-game move reposition. All of them get it, which seems kind of like crazy movement-wise, but they can only go, I think, 3 inches away from their deployment zone.
Yeah, they can't go that far.
But they don't get any of that afterwards. Or like Ratlings, like they get the free, I can't remember if it's a dash or a full reposition, but I want to say it's a dash. But whenever you activate, the Ratling gets to, like your opponent activates, the Ratling gets to do a free reposition or a free dash. I can't remember exactly which one. I haven't even played them yet. But like they get that, but they don't have the other stuff. And like it's not all there, and that's the problem with the Sanctifiers. It is all
Sanctifiers have a 6-inch radius bubble of +1 save. They have the icon that, in addition to doing the thing where gives you more APL on the if you're on an objective, which everybody has that icon also lets you take an action if you get killed. You can't fight, but you can shoot.
Right.
Like, why do they also get that in addition to just having the same icon that everybody else has?
Yeah.
Their Eviscerator gets to fight once, gets to do another punch on death. In addition to also having, they get to fight twice if they don't kill their target.
Right.
Their Assassin gets to always hit first if they do a parry.
Yeah.
And has 3 APL. Like, it's this and. They have so much and in this team that it really feels like they don't have a downside because, they're only 7 or 8 wound models. Not when you're taking -1 damage if you're playing correctly.
Yeah, a lot of those ands need to be ors.
Right.
Or once per games, or
something like that.
Along those lines. Or make it to where they're a very command point heavy reliant team and hide a lot of this behind it, which I mean some of it is.
That's the big thing. Yeah, none of these cost anything.
Yeah,
there's no resource you have to spend on.
The big 6-inch bubble is not a command point.
Vespids can do some fun things with getting free accurate, free reroll, but it costs them those communion points or not spending communion points.
And Jaegers have their thing where they can spend their points to get they heal or whatnot, but it's just they just get it.
It feels like Games Workshop thought that having to be within 6 inches of the Confessor would be a way harder thing than it actually is. Right. But the reality is if the Confessor is standing in the middle of the board, you can usually get both of those objectives in that bubble.
Oh, absolutely. Easily.
Or at least very darn close. It's really not, like they described it in the article when these guys were first released of, you have to play them very all together, and that's a big weakness because they're not flexible. That didn't actually ever happen.
Yeah, I could see it if the bubble was like half the size.
Right.
And again, that goes to just basically having a building that is very dangerous to go in and out of. But 12 inches on a kill team board is a pretty large footprint.
Yeah, and I don't know if I don't think these guys are so powerful they're always going to auto-win. They do take some skill to pilot.
Sure.
I still think they're going to be a little weaker into things like Night Lords. Then again, half these models, if a Night Lord gets into that combat with them, the Night Lord might not win.
No, and even I've seen games where a Plague Marine would run into, a tiny little guy with a chainsword, and the tiny little guy with the chainsword would come out on top, and the Plague Marine would be dead.
Right. Like that when that Flamer is hitting on 2s and doing 4/4s, when the hand Flamer is hitting on 2s and doing 3/3s, you get 3 or 4 hits, that's a dead Marine.
Yeah.
Or a mostly dead Marine.
Yeah. Or getting to fight twice with the Eviscerator dude, like...
Right. The Eviscerator charged you and didn't kill you?
He gets to fight again.
Oh,
like, sure, you get to fight him again.
You killed him? Well, he gets to hit you once.
He still gets to hit you again. Like,
they have strategic gambits to get lethal 5-ups, which makes them really good.
Yeah.
You mentioned being command point hungry. No, they get a thing where after turn 1, if you roll under your Confessor's Wounds, you just get another command point.
Yeah, see, they have that too. They have CP regeneration.
It feels like they have absolutely everything, and I understand the actual thing GW didn't want was to have to rewrite all of this paper cartage.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to do that.
They're not.
But what's the point of this app? Like, the whole point of this app is to make these rules more flexible, but because they're selling product, they don't want to, which is a problem that we've had a billion times, right? Mm-hmm. So, no. Do I think this is enough? No. I think
not even close.
I think it is a fair chunk, and it's going to help a lot.
Yeah.
More for shooting teams who don't want to get into melee with them anyway. Because it's hard to hide all of your guys behind line of sight blocking terrain. But overall, I don't think this is going to change. Their win rate's probably going to go down a little bit.
Yeah.
Might only be in the 60s instead of like the 70s or 80s or whatever it was.
Yeah, now Goremongers are going to get tabled turn 3 instead of tabled turn 2, like every game that we've played with them
Let's also
so
talk
far.
about the fact that Goremongers are about the worst matchup into these guys that is possible.
Like, and that's a whole other video in itself of how Goremongers feel terrible, but it's only because they got put in the same box with these guys.
It's because they're getting out-corned by...
They're getting out-corned by...
Like, the Sanctifiers make you wonder why the Imperium hasn't just completely obliterated everybody by sending out their church youth groups to go punch everything, because apparently they're basically unkillable.
Yeah, but that's just my best bet. Like, make it once per game, and then turn some of the ands into ors, and then I could see this being, like, still a really strong team, kind of like Warpfire Coven. Like, they're really strong, but, like, somebody who's just getting into kill teams not going to go buy all the 3 boxes they need for that and then just absolutely decimate tournaments. Like, it's going to take some skill to play them, but making it not available on turn 1, like, if anything, I think it should be available on turn 1 and then no other turn. Like, get into position. That's going to be your team's advantage. They get into the position they need, and then they hunker down. Like,
I think it should just be a once per game thing.
Yeah, like, that's like Jaeger's thing. They get into the position they want on turn 1. They use their super conceal, and it's hard to get them off the board.
Having these things be once per game would also fit the theme of these being miracles of faith, which is like, I mean, that's what sisters do. Like, they've got the dice, and you have to spend a resource to get miracles. Yeah. These just like, no, just all the time, baby.
Yeah,
just all the time.
The Emperor
my staff has a 3. Yeah, it really does felt like power creep, and we can't even accuse them of just wanting to sell more boxes or something, because Blood and Zeal sold out everywhere.
Yeah, I mean,
and hasn't come out with their individual boxes yet.
Right. It's they've never had a problem with selling these boxes. Like, no matter how like exciting the team's inside or out. Like,
well, that's what happens when you make 4 of them.
True.
All right. So our verdict: not enough.
Not enough.
Demand more nerf. Demand more nerf. Please let us know below why we are wimpy, whiny babies, and that they're not overpowered, and why that we should just get over it and use this specific tactic on this specific team to defeat them. Please do comment below. I will probably respond.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not even like I'm trying to say that they're busting. That's the reason why I'm losing. I'm losing because I suck, but at the same time,
as someone who's winning with them, I want the nerf. Like, it doesn't feel like I'm winning. It feels like the rule is winning for me. I'm just kind of like pushing a fat man with a staff forward.
I just want to lose a little bit, not get absolutely taken out back.
Not get suplexed into the ground. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Well, that's it from us on this episode, talking about the Sanctifiers. We'll be back with more Kill Team content later. We're not going to do a full rundown on Sanctifiers yet, because
we're going to wait for
they're going to get nerfed. Yeah. But we might do Goremongers, or maybe somebody else who's been a little more established. Vespids, Aquilons, Rattlings at this point. And when we do, we will, of course, post it here. So keep your eye out. If you'd like to talk to us more in person, check out our community Discord linked in the description. And we will talk to you later.